Thank you, Liz. Good evening, everyone. I'm a problem named Richard, and I'm an alcoholic. Um, yeah, a little nervous tonight. I got some people in this room that I really look up to that they want what I have, man. I want what they have. Let me rephrase that. But and man, Rob, I'm so glad to see you, man. Got me emotional seeing you, man. You planted some seeds, man. Once upon a time, you told me the truth about alcoholism, and you shared me some truths with you for that your life, man. And it fucked up some hits, man. It fucked up the next hit for me. So thank you for that, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was Sobriety Day, September 3rd of last year. I have a sponsor who knows he's my sponsor because I call him every day. Hermosa Beach Man Stag is my home group, and man, I'm truly grateful for my life today, man. If I'd known then what I know now, man, I would have started doing this stuff a long time ago. Um, so it says disclose in a general way what it was like, what happened, and what it was like now. So I'll just qualify real quick. I grew up. I was born in the late '70s. Um, Both my parents were gang members and heroin addicts. When I was 3 years old, my mom decided to rob a bank, and the people came and took me, man. They snatched me out of my home, and I went kicking and screaming to my grandparents. Uh, it was rough, man. It was rough. That was one of my first memories, man, was getting snatched up by the DCFS and taken to my grandparents. It's a blessing in disguise. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? They raised me, grandparents, old school, old fashioned grandparents from the East, man. They knew how to raise me, man. They instilled in me some manners. I knew what right and wrong was. But my grandma was an alcoholic. Um, I don't know if you guys remember those big old tall bottles of Ernest and Julio Gallo wine, but she used to knock back two of those a day. And she used to lay into me and my grandpa, man. My grandpa was a passive man. He would just take it. And, he didn't say much. He was a kind, gentle-hearted man. And I didn't know what was going on, but she used to ream into me, talking about that she would send me to the foster home, and I was just like my mom and dad, and I was incorrigible and all this stuff. And that was the first time I ever felt like a piece of shit. And I didn't know why, because I was just a kid, man. But I felt unloved, unwanted. I felt like I was a burden on them. So I remember being real young, man, thinking I had to start having thoughts like, man, what if I wasn't here? Their life would be easier. And that's not a good thing for a little 7 year old kid to be thinking, man. But I remember it was the summer between sixth and seventh grade. I was 12 years old, and I was a good kid, man. I was a pretty good kid. I didn't want to be home with my grandparents with my grandma because she was off the hook. So I dove into sports. God blessed me with some abilities, man, and I used to love playing baseball, basketball, anything with a ball in it. I'm on it. Um, and I was playing three different little leagues, playing NJB basketball, Pop Warner football, doing all of that, man. I had a paper route. I used to deliver the paper for the Orange County Register, man. I was a good little white kid, man. And I remember the third day of summer, I was down at the park. I used to go put the net up on the hoop, and I used to shoot down there by myself, practicing my fadeaway because Jordan was my guy. So I just practicing. I remember these older kids that I knew from the neighborhood. They were like 3 or 4 years older than me. They came down and they were smoking weed, and they're like, "Hey, you want some?" And a buddy of mine had just pulled up, and we were about to play basketball. And um, we told him no, man. Like, wow, we're good. 'Cause my grandma told me what drugs was. You know what I mean? And the Dare program was cracking at that time in the '80s. And I remember they came 2 or 3 days later, man. They came back. We were down there doing the same thing. They came back, and when they asked us to do it, we told them, yeah, right away, because me and this dude had discussed it. We was curious, man. We're like, man, what are they doing, man? That shit smell good. Next, you know, we hit this joint, man, and the reason I'm telling you this because I remember after I took the second hit and coughed and I'm spitting and all that shit, a feeling came over me, man. And my very first thought that came to my mind was, "This is what I've been missing. I want to be like this all the time." And I didn't know it then, man. I didn't know it, but looking back at it now, I'm like, that might be an indication of something. You know what I mean? Because I chased that feeling, man. It was off and running from there. I ended up running away from home a month later, smoking weed, and I run away. I'm a little runaway kid living in the Santa Ana riverbed with all these other taggers and misfits and derelicts. And I was doing meth, and I was smoking crack, and I was doing beer runs. And I'm just 13 years old, man. And I was off and running. And I remember I got arrested, and I was on the center divider of the 91 freeway hitting up graffiti. And the cops pulled up on both sides and arrested me, and they took me to my grandparents. I was little, man. And I told them I was a runaway, and they took me home, and my grandparents said, he can come shower, We'll give him some food in the backyard, and he could wait out there until his mama gets here. And the only thing what I heard was, I got a mom? I never knew her, right? So next you know, she picks me up and we go to San Diego. Um, I'd like to tell you that my life changed for the better, but it didn't, man. We moved right in smack dab into my neighborhood, and within 3 months, I was already jumped into a gang, shooting methamphetamine with one of my older homeboys that came out the joint, doing heroin and committing a lot of crimes, man. Toting guns and hunting humans. I got in deep, man, and if I tell you my resume, man, you look at me like I'm a gangster, like I'm a real one, right? And maybe I am, maybe I'm not, but I'm here to tell you that I'm really not, man. I did all these things out of fear, wanting to fit in. I'm a white kid in a Mexican neighborhood, man. I'm trying to do the most because I want these dudes to like me, man. I just want to be liked. That's the same way I excel at sports, because I want people to like me. I have self-esteem issues, man. So I'm gonna do the most to make sure you like me. So I'm gonna paint a picture. So I ended up, when I was 14, I caught juvenile life for attempted murder, and I went to YA, and I ended up doing 3.5 years, and I got out on an appeal. They dropped it to assault with a firearm. So I get out. I'm out 60 days, and then I catch my first term for an armed robbery, and I'm going to do 5 years, and so on, and violations, and then 10 years, and then so on, and so on. I don't want to get into all that, but I spent about 25 years of my life in prison, man. So right before I get out of Pelican Bay, I did 9 years up there, and my grandma died, my mom had died, dad had been gone. I never met him. Grandpa's dead. My sister disowned me. My baby's mom moved to Riverside with the boys to get away from me, and I got nowhere to go, man. Mom's house is not an option; she's dead, and so I call Safe Refuge, man, begging. Talk to Art Romo, try to get me in. He set me up, and I go in there begging for help, man. I got nowhere to go. But I'm the type of alcoholic, man. I got some pride, low self-esteem, but I'm an egomaniac at the same time. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to front, but really I'm hurting and I'm scared inside. So after about 30 days, I do some push-ups. I eat some meals because they got good food at Safe Refuge. You know what I mean? And I go into groups. I get some meals in me. I get some good sleep. And then I look over. I'm in a meeting. I'm G'd up, and I look over. And me and Nancy make eye contact, right? It wasn't really Nancy, but another one. And we make eye contact, right? And I could tell she didn't say nothing, man, but I could tell she thinks I'm cute. I mean, then that's all I need for a person like me that needs craving attention and validation from other people, man. That's all it takes. Off and running, man. Now I'm starting to sponsor Richard. Richard's my higher power. The next thing you know, I don't hear a message when I go to a meeting because I'm too busy trying to look good for her. The next thing you know, we're doing some other stuff. I get a job, right? I get back into school. I get a car. Not really working a program. I go to meetings just to show up and look cute, man. And I wonder why on a Friday night, right? This is a true story. Friday night, I'm staying in sober living, in my car, coming home from work with the paycheck. I gotta go pay rent for the sober living. I got my phone bill to pay. I got responsibility. I built up a life for myself. I'm driving home and I see the liquor store. I'm gonna go cash my check. Cash my check. I look over. I see the beer aisle, man. I see it back there. I'm like, man, I've been working hard, man. I got like 8-9 months sober. I'm doing the damn thing, right? So I think it's the thigh hits. It's like, hey, man, just have one beer, just a tall can. Matter of fact, not even a tall can. Just get the 16-ounce one, so you don't get too fucked up and they won't know and blah blah blah, right? And it was in my own voice. So I didn't know at the time, man. I got a mental disorder, man, that convinces me that I don't have a mental disorder, right? And it speaks to me in my own voice, and I trust me. So sometimes I listen to the lie that it tells me, and it said, just have one. And I was like, you know what? Just one, right? If you would have hooked me up to a lie detector test and said, just one, Richard, I promise, just one, I would have passed, because I just want one. But once I drink that one, man, Robert taught me this, man. Once I had that one, I really don't want another one. But that beer wants a beer. And those 2 beers want 4 beers, and those 4 want 8, those 8 want 16, those 16 want 32. And I wonder why I haven't been back to the sober living in a week. And I'm in a motel covered in lotion, and I'm by myself peeking out the weird butt naked. Like, how did that happen? How the fuck did that happen, bro? I just wanted a beer. My life was good. And now Now none of the bills are paid. The sober living gonna kick me out. She done left, and my car is about to get repoed and impounded. Right now I'm out and sitting out in front of these bags, sitting out with my bags, two plastic bags. Where am I gonna go? Thank you. Where am I gonna go? Right off once again. And my brightest idea at that point, like life on fire, my brightest idea is, man, might as well go get one. Then I go really dance with the stuff I like, go take a hit, or I go put one in, or whatever that is, and I end up homeless or back in prison, man, over and over and over and over again, man, multiple times. This ain't my first read; it's like my ninth treatment center. You know what I mean? But thank God, God's got some grace and mercy. He sees something in me that I don't see in myself, man, because He kept me alive through a lot of things, man. Shot, stab, overdoses, in and out of treatments, ruining girls' lives, ruining kids' lives, man. And He dusted me off one more time. Say, here you go, Richard. So Richard's thoroughly convinced, man. My butt's smoldering. So that's why I do all these things that I do. I'm of service today, man. I'm a fire tender at Changing Spirits for our sweat ceremony. I have commitments at 3 meetings. I talk to my sponsor. I meet up with them and do step work. I escort the residential clients here at Fred Brown on their appointments. I'm in contact with a lot of people in here that are staff. I stay connected, man. And I don't do that because I'm smart. You know what I mean? If I was smart, I would have done this a long time ago. I do it because I'm booked, man. I know the alternative. If I don't do this, I'm going to be doing that. And I'm just really, really grateful for Fred Brown, for Big Rob, man. I love you, dog. And man, it's the Fred Brown that changed my life, man. It gave me a place to really dive in and get to know me, and that's just scary, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, especially if you're like me and think you're a tough guy. It's not cool breaking down the barrier news, man. I'm emotional and nervous right now because I've broken something open inside of me, bro. And I get to look at me, and I just finished my 5th step, man, and there's some magic in that 5th step, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. I get to get butt naked emotionally with another individual and really tell them about me. You know what I mean? And things I wasn't gonna tell nobody, bro. There's some things I wasn't gonna tell nobody, man. And I hope one day I can share at the podium, but I ain't even there yet. You know what I mean? But I shared it with this man, homie, and he looked at me. He told me something about himself that was just about the same, maybe even a little worse. You know what I mean? I'm not here to judge, but I was like, okay. And now I walked away from that. I didn't realize the magic there, but I walk away. Now, instead of doing this because I'm a tough guy, I'm doing this because I'm confident. I'm free for some things, man. And I've never had that feeling before. And what it's given to me is I could be authentic. I could just be Richard. You know what I mean? I'm not whoop-de-whoop or did this and that. Because it's a cold question, man. If someone asks you, who are you? Well, I'm Richard. That's just a name that was given to me when I was a kid. Who are you? Oh, I'm from here, and these are my kids, and I have this job. None of that's me. Who am I? Who am I? I'm a man in recovery that practices the principles and work steps on a daily basis, man. And if any of you are tired of the way you've been living, man, there's a new life to be found here, man. I promise you that. Get into some step work, find you a sponsor, and it'll open up your life, man. It'll open up your life. And you don't ever have to go back to what you was doing, man. You don't have to drink or use if you don't want to. And the key about this thing, man, you don't even have to drink and use if you do want to.
That's right.
And that's crazy, man. So I'm just real grateful for my life today. Thanks, Nas, for asking me to come up here. I hope I said something that made sense and might have put a spark in you guys, man. That's all I got.